بسم الله
الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رضي الله عنكم. من كتاب شرح الحكم العطائي. إلا عند إشراق أنوار الأبدال الكارعين مناهل الحكمة المتبوئين منازل الوصال المتمكنين في المقامات والمتصرفين في الأحوال، فعند رؤيتهم والتعلق بأذيال سيرتهم يتبين لك قبح ما أنت عليه من الاغترار وما أنت متلبس به من أخلاق الأشرار، فصحبتهم تريك قصورك وترفع بك عن حضيض تعثرك بمحبطات بشريتك وكثائف ستورك. وأما صحبة من هو دونك في المقام ولم يخرج عن رق العادات ولم يحظى بوصف العبادات فهو دليل البعد عن التأهل للإرادة وأبعد عن درك السعادة. لذلك قال المؤلف رضي الله تعالى عنه: ربما كنت مسيئا فأراك الإحسان منك صحبتك إلى من هو أسوأ حالا منك. رب تأتي للتعليل غالبا. ربما كنت مسيئا في حالك مخلطا في أفعالك مقصرا في أعمالك فأراك إحسانك ورفعة شأنك وعلو مكانك على أقرانك وظهور نفسك في طول لسانك وبذل بنانك من هو أسوأ حالا منك، فترى قصورك عن مقامك وجهلك فترى قصوره عن مقامك وجهله بكلامك فتغتر بذلك وتظن أنك قد حصلت من الطريق على شيء، فأكثر ما توقف الطالبين وتعثر السالكين هذه الآفة الجامعة لآفات لا تحصى ومهالك لا تستقصى. ولو كان ميمونا وإلى النهاية مطلوبا لما سلط عليه الأشرار وحجب عنه الأخيار وقنع بزخرف هذه الدار من رفع الصيت وظهور المنصب والاشتهار ورضي عن صحبة المحققين بمجالسة البطالين. فما أعظم مصيبتك وما أشد بليتك، أعاذنا الله من سوء القدر والوقوع في مصائد الحذر، فنسأل الله أن يعافينا من هذه البلية وسائر البلايا في الدين ويلطف بنا ولنا في كل حال ويوالينا بسائر أنواع المنن وتزايد النعم والإفضال. ولي في ذلك فربما رأيت ممن دونك الحسنى ولو صحبت الرجال السادة الأمنا لما اغتررت بظن فيك قد كمنا يريك أنك فوق الدون حيث ثنى.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين مكرمنا بأنوار الدلالة عليه بدلالة أكرم خلقه وأحبهم إليه. اللهم صل وسلم على المختار المجتبى سيدنا محمد وعلى آله المطهرين وأصحابه المكرمين بالجلوس بين يديه وعلى آلهم وعلى من تبعهم ووالاهم فيك وعلى آبائه وإخوانه من الأنبياء والمرسلين خيرتك من بريتك وعلى آلهم وصحبهم وملائكتك المقربين وعبادك الصالحين وعلينا معهم وفيهم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وبعد، يتحدث الشيخ عليه رحمة الله عن آثار الصحبة وذكر لنا صحبتنا لربنا وكيف نصحبه وما آدابها، وصحبتنا لنبينا من طريق الغيب بالروح إذ فارقنا أيام كونه في عالم الدنيا صلى الله عليه وسلم، وثم الصحبة للأولياء وللعارفين، وثم الصحبة لعموم الخلق. ويقول إن فائدة الصحبة الخروج عن أوصاف البشرية والمراد ما يعلق بالإنسان من الأوصاف الدنية بحكم بشريته.
So the Shaykh is talking has spoken about various types of suhbah,
على شؤون
and
هذه الدنيا
that
ومخادعاتها
by our humanness and our spirit being imprisoned in our humanness
بسبب ذلك صفات
and are being deluded by the affairs of this dunya and its deceptions and desiring it. Due to that, the person will have traits that a person will be purified from if they leave the traits of human frailty. So that's the meaning of leaving traits of human frailty. He said the Prophet ﷺ was a human, but not all humans are the same. So what's meant by human traits are traits of human frailty, base human traits. Seeking other than Allah's countenance. Focus on temporary things and things that are based on that of being arrogant towards others, having envy towards others, malice towards others, and other frail human attributes that occur to a person due to their humanness. And these attributes clinging to them and then being affected by them. Some have more of these or some have less. Some have a deeper connection to these or a weakness. And he said, so prophets, blameworthy human traits, don't cling to them due to the gifts of their Lord, the most sublime, the most generous. And then the elect of Ar-Rahman from the knowers of Allah. And some of them are created naturally by Allah's concern with beautiful attributes. And they have an aversion to wicked attributes to the extent that they won't even know what those wicked attributes are. Imam al-Haddad, the first time he visited the Imam Umar bin Abdul Rahman al-Attas, Imam al-Haddad said he was a heart and a Lord, no ego and no caprice. He totally was purified from frail or base human attributes. So the benefit of keeping the company of the pious, that is that you are rescued from frail human attributes and you gain the attributes of that are praiseworthy with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the Imam Shaykh Ali Ba Ras, he used to always sit like you sit at the end of the prayer, tawarruk, for like 10 years, 15 years. He was only sitting like that. He said, this is the sitting of a slave before his master. This is the sitting of a slave before his master. So this is how he was, a slave. When people crowded around him at the end of his life at the canyon, the valley of Nabi Hud, he recited, surely he is only a servant who has been favored. Feeling one's servitude, that is the most honored garment that Allah clothes his servants in. Pure slavehood, pure servitude. And Allah mentioned them, the servants of Ar-Rahman who walk humbly on the earth. And Allah mentioned them, they enter paradise by your fortitude, your patience. Someone will never lose human traits. Or you will not lose them except by seeing your own deficiency. You're witnessing that, tasting it, and comprehending it. You're being realized truly in this awareness, this vision that you are deficient, negligent. And you will do that by, you will not see your negligence or your deficiency except by seeing the states of the elect men. He said, by sitting with them, by learning their attributes, their distinctions, That's how you'll learn your own deficiency, your negligence. If you're far from that and you think of those themselves who are negligent, those who are heedless, those who are soiled with wicked, base human attributes, so then how would you be adorned with servitude? How would you be rescued from base human attributes? He said, actually, your base human attributes would grow. Your selfishness would grow. Your vanity would grow because you looked at those who were lower than you and you compared those to those that are in low states themselves. However, if you looked above and you saw those who are beloved and those who long, you would know that you are falling short. And they said, if you want to know how your mind is, your reason, your aql, go into the market of intellects and compare yours to theirs. Compare your knowledge to theirs. If you claim anything, then go where that really exists. Go to the market. But if you go to those who don't have anything, they'll make you think that you're someone who has a lot of property, a lot of capital. You will not be rescued from your frail human attributes except by becoming aware of your negligence, and you will not know that except by the dawning of the lights of the representatives of the Prophet, the Abdul, over you, those who drink from the springs of wisdom and exist in the stations of arrival. When you see them, you'll know your own delusion and the wicked attributes, the wicked character traits that you have. This shows you your deficiency. Their company shows you your deficiency. It cleans your heart. And it bequeaths you purity. And you will attain your portion and your fortune. Allah said, I am with those whose hearts are broken for my sake, Allah says. And he said, so keeping their company will raise you above your being in base human attributes and in opaque veil. He said, as for keeping the company of those who are beneath you in station, that will not rescue you, or that will not emancipate you from your own habits, nor will it give you pure worship. And you do not have will not have the proper qualifications of a seeker, of a murid in that case. And how very far you would be from the level of felicity. So the author said, perhaps you were wicked and keeping the company of someone whose state was worse than yours made you believe that you were good. And that would mean that you neglected to accept the counsel of the one who gave the most sincere counsel, and that's the Prophet ﷺ. He said, someone who looks in his religion to those who are above him, and in his world to those who are beneath him, lower than him, he would be, it was a right that he would be written with Allah as someone who is patient and grateful, and someone in religion who looked to those who are of a lower station, and in the world to someone who have more than them. He's not written with Allah as someone who's patient, nor as someone who's grateful. He said, so know this. So in worldly things, look at those who have more needs. They're poorer, they have less property, less clothing, in housing, in vehicles. How many people in the world have less than you? Many, many. How many humans in the world? They didn't have a breakfast or a lunch today. Many, many exist today, and you ate today. Maybe you said, I didn't have this, I need that, I want this. He said, in your worldly life, your dunya, look at those who have less than you. However, in deen, look who is up. Look at those who are higher, greater than you. They strive more than you. They work harder than you. So accept the good counsel of the Prophet Muhammad, and your outcome would be praiseworthy. You would be of a virtue at the end. Perhaps you were wicked. The reality of your state was bad. You were negligent and deficient in your actions and states. And you saw that you were excellent and good because you were above your peers. You had a long tongue. You pointed your fingers. And that was because you looked at people whose state wasn't as high as yours. And then people were, you saw his deficiency or his being lower than your station and his ignorance about what you said, and you became deluded. However, if you looked at those who were above, you would say, I'm deficient, I'm negligent. So he said, so then you might think that you had attained something in this path. So what stops the seekers and the students most is this misfortune. This is what stops travelers and makes the travelers trip, stumble. They look at religious things, at those who are lower than them. You want to stop, you want to stumble, do this. But you would have neglected the counsel of the best, most sincere advisor, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is a misfortune that comprehends, that encompasses all types of harm and kinds of doom. And he said, you'll find many of the common people say, I'm better than many others, and I'm better than many people. I'm doing better than a lot of people. Better than who? Better than the shaitan, huh? He said, look at the people of taqwa, selection, those brought near. You're very far from them. Don't say I'm doing better than others. And he said, someone fell into this misfortune, and then above that, they're proud of themselves. They're vain about it. Well, it's a huge misfortune. If this person was blessed and was sought for the end of the path, the evil people wouldn't have been given power over him, and he wouldn't have been veiled from the pious, and he wouldn't have been satisfied. And he said, so this person was he was given the company of the lower people and deprived the company of the higher people. That's sufficient as a sign of your wretchedness, your distance. If you were sought by Allah, you had a station with him, he wouldn't cast you to those base people. He would have put you among the pious, the chosen, those brought near. La ilaha illallah. And this person was satisfied with the ornaments of this world of fame, of station, and he thought that that was something. And all of that is just dust. It's just sprinkles. All of it is just earth. And these levels in this world, these stations. He said the person, he looks at the governor, or he looks at a minister, or he looks at a king. All of these are just titles, and they're just clouds. They're mirages. They're dust. There's no reality to them. They don't raise the reality of these people. They do not save them from the hellfire. They do not give them eternal salvation, except those who have taqwa, those who follow the Prophet Muhammad, and they travel this way and they become connected to the pious. And he said, presidency, monarchy, ministry, it doesn't raise anyone. All of these are a facade. However, many people are cheated by these as though that's everything, and it's nothing. And your Lord makes this entirely clear. The similitude, the likeness of those who disbelieve, their deeds are like a mirage. And a thirsty person goes there and doesn't find anything. And then Allah gives him his judgment, and Allah is quick to judge. La ilaha illallah. And this person, he was satisfied to sit with the idol instead of the companionship of the pious. And he said, that is a great misfortune and a severe trial. We seek refuge in Allah. Oh Allah, do not make the world our greatest concern and the extent of our knowledge. And do not afflict us with those who do not show us mercy, O Allah. And O Allah, give us all types of favor and blessings and grace. And maybe due to you looking at those who are low, you thought you were better. Were you to keep the company of the elect man, you would you wouldn't be deluded like this. So he's moved on to the next aphorism. And he says, the Ibn Ata'illah says, or actually the commentator, the reader is reading. So the commentary says, when as zuhud, indifference to the world, and the heart's aversion, as zuhud, and the heart's aversion and distance from that towards which one is indifference, and that in seeking that which was more noble than it, whether that is physically or metaphysically, spiritually, it is the spring from which good deeds proceed, and it is the axis around which the heart pivots, because the heart is the sphere of intentions, and deeds occur through intentions. Truly, it is a right that a person rise above and purify him or herself from causes of turbidity, clarify themselves from causes of turbidness, murkiness, and preoccupation, so that their deeds will be sound and their states will be pure. And due to this, the author said, no deed is small that emerges from a heart which is zahid. That means unattached, indifferent to the world. Nor is any deed great that emerges from a heart that is covetous of the world, that desires the world. Right? So this is talking about zuhud and its opposite, covetousness. So good deeds, their value is based on the purity of hearts, and they're being free of vice, and the hearts of those who are indifferent to the world, as zuhad, the plural of zahid, they are limpid, they are clear, their states are abundant, their deeds are many, their states are illumined. So how would any deed be small that was surrounded by or departed from what was surrounded by light, that was free from pollutants, that came from a heart that was pure and an apparent light? And the deeds of those who desire, they are as their hearts are, immersed in the darknesses of distraction and the pollution of states, through the misfortunes of wealth and dependence. So their heart is almost not clear at all, right? It's not limpid, or their heart is almost never clear for a moment, nor is obedience pure for them. And zuhud, indifference to the world, some of it's obligatory, some of it's recommended, and there's a third type of zuhud, of indifference, that is for the people of the third station, and maqam al-thalith. So what is obligatory of a zuhud, indifference, detachment to the world, is that you be detached from the haram, and it's recommended to be detached from that which is doubtful and excessive. And the third is indifference to your own indifference, zuhud of your zuhud. So al-Habib is commenting, and he said, may Allah's good pleasure be upon him. And when the heart, zuhud, indifference to the world, is the heart's being distant from that which it's indifferent, the heart being distant from it, is different from. And he said, what's amazing is about the one who he's indifferent to what's higher and more noble, and he desires what's lower, more base and less. one of the knowers of Allah wanted people to learn a lesson. They spoke to him and they said, you're detached from the world. He said, you have more detachment than I do. You're more detached. He said, I'm only indifferent towards this base world that's temporary. How you're indifferent towards nearness to Allah, the high stations. He said, so you have more detachment than me because you're detached from something that's more precious than what I'm detached from. I'm detached from something base. And he said, if something is, I'll leave anything lowly, right? But you were indifferent towards high stations in being in paradise. You're indifferent to that. La ilaha illallah. So the heart, the source of deeds is the heart because intentions come from that. So then we should purify it so that our deeds are pure and multiplied. So the author said, no deed is small that emerges from a heart that is unattached to the world. His saying Allahu Akbar, charity, his prayer, his bow, all of his deeds, the reward is multiplied. No deed is small if it's accepted, and no deed is great if it emerges from a heart that is covetous. So the commentator said, deeds, their value is based on the clarity of hearts and their purity from vice. The Prophet ﷺ said about the foremost of the Ansar and the Muhajirin who kept his company, he said, I swear by the one who has my soul, were one of you to spin like the mountain of Uhud in gold, that would not have reached the mud, the little half liter of one of them, or even half of it. He said, if one of them gave this small amount and another gave Mount of Uhud in gold, it wouldn't equal that. Because of their states, because of the clarity of their hearts, their honesty with Ar-Rahman. So the hearts of Az-Zuhad, of those who are detached from the world, are clear. Their states are abundant. Their deeds are many. Their states are illumined. So how would a deed that was surrounded by lights be small, that was pure from pollutants? And that is from a heart that is pure and illumined. If the first, the last, the outward, the inward, if he accepted that work, how could it be small? And he said, so a little bit of wellness from Allah is not a little. La ilaha illallah. And the works of those who are covetous, those who are focused on other than Allah, who they're worshiping, Jalla Jalalu, they're based on what their hearts are engaged in, of the darkness, of distraction, of polluted states, of the misfortunes of wealth and dependence. So they are farther from pure aims and presence with Allah who they're seeking. So there are three types of zuhud: obligatory, and that obligatory is in the haram. You have to be detached from every haram thing: words, deeds, looking, intentions, eating, drinking, wearing. Every haram thing, you must be detached from it. That's a fard upon us, an obligation. And then a zuhud that is recommended. That's in doubtful things and excess. Being detached from excessive and doubtful things beyond your needs. And then a third type of detachment, and that is elect for the people of the 10th station, or the 4th station, and that is being detached from your detachments, because this state is other than him. So how could I pay attention to anything other than Allah? He said, that's not everyone, except someone who's firm in the station of remaining after fulfilling the station of annihilation. They're annihilated. They do not perceive themselves, any of their own species or any creature. And he said, look at the mountain. He said, Allah will turn it into, pulverize it. So this person's vision, all of the creation is annihilated. And then they go beyond that to the state called baqa. And then before that, they have various imaginations and ideas, and they can't attain the reality of this third as zuhud, these high, noble stations. The third is detachment from detachment, and that they engage in things not by their choice, and they use causes through the one who creates effects. And they see things as existing only through Allah after they left everything for Allah. They leave everything for Allah, then they return to things through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, la ilaha illallah. So what is the value of their deeds? What is their subhanallah? What is their rak'ah equal? Al-Idrus said the elect of them, the believers. No, excuse me, the elected people are the believers. The elect of the believers are the scholars. The elect of the scholars are the knowers of Allah. The elect of the knowers of Allah are the people of baqa, the station of remaining. Those who work in a state of good pleasure have been annihilated and remain. And they say the rak'ah of a person of learning is better than 1,000 of a believer who's not learned. And the rak'ah of a knower of Allah is better than 1,000 of those who do not know Allah. And then those one particle of the deeds are better than all of the deeds of those others. And La ilaha illallah. So this detachment is based on their stations, the purity of their deeds and the clarity of their states were based on that. Them having, and that is due to their turning away from everything other than Allah, being attached to Allah and all of their emotion and stillness. So their hearts are not attached to anything other than Him, nor does their aspiration focus on other than Him, nor do they desire anything other than Him. And he said the connection to Ar-Rahman, some of the pious, they were rescued from normal things, or excuse me, removed from normal things, right? This is a pious person, and in his state, and he's talking about miracles. This woman wanted him to write a cure for her. He wrote it in this dish, it broke. She brought another, he wrote it, it broke. He said, if you brought me all of the dishes of Basra and I'm in this state, they'd break. Find someone else who's not in this spiritual vision that I'm in this state that I'm in. If I write Bismillah on anything, it'll break in this state. Jalla Jalala wa ta'ala fi'ullah. La ilaha illallah. And in the likes of this state, Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid, he took poison. And they said, you have a Lord and a God. This is poison, drink it. So Sayyidina Khalid has said, Bismillah. Then the one, and they watched him till the next day. Nothing befell him, no harm befell him. La ilaha illallah. States differ, degrees differ. La ilaha illallah. One of the knowers of Allah, they complained to him about a jinn that had affected a person. And he said to one of his students, go say, Allah ordered you to this, or are you fabricating? So the jinn left, right? He recited that verse. After a period of time, the sheikh died, and then another person was afflicted by the jinn. So the student said, oh, I know the verse, without the sheikh ordering him. So he went and he recited it. Allah, did Allah order this? And then the jinn starts laughing. He recited and the jinn laughed at him again. He said, what is this? He said, I recited it one time and he left last time. He said, what happened here? So the jinn said, the verse is the same, but the man's not the same. And he said, the heart is not the heart, the state is not the state, and the intention is not the intention. La ilaha illallah. He said, yeah. He said a dead battery and a battery that's charged aren't the same. If you put 10 dead batteries, it won't do anything. But if you bring one that's properly charged, it'll work. La ilaha illallah. Those who worship Allah in presence, their state is an amazing state. Their affair is wondrous. La ilaha illallah. If a desire for the world is in the heart, it's rare that the states will be good, and if not, the intentions will be pure. Shaykh Ali said, when servitude is pure and everything else vanishes, and the intention and the aim is pure, how excellent is that state? May Allah give us to be with those who are brought near. May Allah give us to be true and have pure intentions for His noble countenance. And al-Haddad Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Al-Fatiha.
حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. يا ربنا اعترفنا بأننا اقترفنا وأننا أسرفنا لا لظى أشرفنا، فتب علينا توبة تغسل لكل حوبة، واستر لنا العورات وآمن الروعات، واغفر لوالدينا ربي ومولودينا والأهل والإخوان وسائر الخلان وكل ذي محبة أو جيرة أو صحبة والمسلمين أجمع، آمين يا ربي. اسمع فضلا وجودا منا لا باكتساب منا، بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول، بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول، بالمصطفى الرسول نحظى بكل سول. صلى وسلم ربي عليه عد الحب وآله والصحب عداد طش السحب، والحمد للإله في البدء والتناهي. أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله العظيم الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم وأتوب إليه. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له إلها واحدا له مسلمون. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له إلها واحدا وربا شاهدا ونحن له مسلمون. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسعه علم الله. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسعه علم الله. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسعه علم علم الله. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله في كل لمحة ونفس عدد ما وسعه علم الله. لا إله إلا الله والله أكبر. 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 ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم في كل لحظة أبدا عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. الذين آمنوا وتطمئن قلوبهم بذكر الله. لا